Hello and welcome to this pit stop learning check for your narrative writing. A pit stop is where you stop in the middle of your learning just to check using the right skills that the exam board want to see. Take a look at the mark scheme here then. You can see band 5 of the grade 9 at the top, band 3 round about a grade 5 in the middle, and then band 2 is kind of your grade 3-ish at the bottom. I've completely ignored band 1 at the bottom there. As you can see, to get a pass mark, you need to control your work using plot and characterization to show some detail and development. And on the AO6 column there, you can see you need a variety of sentence structure, a range of punctuation, and most spelling, including irregular words, is correct. So what we're going to look at today is different ways to identify these skills in your work, and then work out what any strengths and weaknesses might be. Before we go into some examples then, let's take a look at some feedback from the actual exam board. Now once you get the hang of descriptive writing, thinking about word choices, etc., it becomes a simple matter of just being technically accurate in the actual exam. Now unfortunately, technical accuracy does matter a lot in this particular section of the test. They really hammer you for any simple errors like capital letters or punctuation, and they want to see a general level of accuracy throughout the piece of work. For example, if you're really accurate in the first paragraph but have lots of errors in the second or third, that will really lower the grade. As you can see from that middle paragraph from the exam board, one of the most alarming issues in narrative writing is widespread inability to control tenses, but problems in spelling, punctuation, and sentence construction are still very much in evidence. In short, they will look at how creative or original your work is, but if it's riddled with errors, they will downgrade it accordingly. First of all then, let's start looking at your own answers so far. So take a story that you've written either as homework or an assessment and look for the different sentence types you've used. Highlight in one colour the simple sentences, that is a short sentence with one main idea. In the second colour, look for your compound sentences. That's two sentences joined with and, but, or because, or in short any connective that links together two main clauses or simple sentences. Lastly, look for the complex ones. Broadly speaking, that's any sentence with commas in it with subordinate clauses added to the beginning, middle or end, or any idea that has mini ideas connected to it in some way. As a rule of thumb, you might actually want to do the complex ones first. They're normally the easiest to spot and equally the most common in the work. Then look for the short sentences, see how many of those you can find, and then any remaining sentences are more than likely to be compound ones. If you've got all three colours, that means you've used then all three sentence types. Now let's look for ambitious vocabulary. Now that's where you look for any interesting word choices that show off a range of words that you can use. You can see the example there, 3 words underlined where I deliberately used those words for particular effect. In short, any words that show that they've thought about how the wording could be used, and any really high level words that they've used. Those could be the ones then that you underline. Now look for any errors that might have been made, particularly capital letters. These should appear at the beginning of each sentence, after every full stop, at the beginning of each paragraph, and of course the beginning of any pieces of speech. Underline or circle any errors that you find. It might be that you've already put a C in the margin to show there is a capital letter missing. And lastly, descriptive devices. Can you find any of the following skills in the work? Similes, alliteration, or repetition of effective words. If you can, these all help the work become effective or interesting to read. On the next few slides, we're going to take a look at a few examples. We're going to unpick why they got the grade they did and how each could be improved in 2 different ways. First of all, we're going to look at how they effectively communicate ideas, and then how a higher level of technical skill could be added. All candidates answered the question write about a time you lost something as their exam task. It's cold, so cold, my bones forever chilled, my cell empty, blank and bare like my mind. Why am I here again? I muttered to myself. My face pressed against the frigid concrete floor. The memory flashes before my eyes. Oh, that's why. I almost forgot, I chuckled to myself. It was a peaceful Christmas Eve. The streets of London full with busy people, all doing their own things. Some danced with joy, others singing cards with the intent of letting the whole world know it's Christmas. It vexed me. The trees, bare of leaves, but glinting with pure white lights. All were joyful despite me. I was on a walk. Lonesome thoughts of melancholy filled my mind. I had no one. I'd lost all my friends and family. I knew it was all my fault, but it still took a toll on me. I was visibly sad. My face had lost all colour and sagged with the feeling of loneliness. My cheeks damp from tears running down from my eyes. Clearly a paragraph piece of work, clearly once been well structured, range of punctuation being used, and quite a few effective words in this particular answer. As you can see, on the left I've highlighted the parts that make it an effective piece of writing, and on the right I've looked for the technical accuracy elements, the things the exam board would look for. I've now zoomed in on the second paragraph in particular. The intention here was to create a positive description of, in this case, Christmas Eve. We also have, though, a sad character. There's a lot of effective skill here in terms of storytelling and use of language, but there are technical errors that make this not quite as effective as it could have been. To improve it, how could we first of all then walk through a beautiful Christmas scene in the snow, but be used to enhance the feeling of sadness and melancholy? What description could be added to enhance this idea of being cold in the snow that adds to a character's mood or sense of mood? Have a look at the two tasks on the board, see what you come up with. Now let's look at the more technical areas of this particular response. As we've gathered then, the writing itself is actually pretty effective, but there are a few grammatical errors here that take away from the overall effect. Common errors including spelling, tense changes, and in places words even missing. How could you correct the following sentences? The trees bare of leaves but glinting with pure white lights. All were joyful despite me, and I was visibly sad. What errors can you spot here? Well, for a start, look at the common errors I listed above, and you might be able to work it out from there. Now let's look again at this paragraph in full. Use the skills we've just highlighted, the details about how it's written, as well as its technical accuracy, to improve and enhance this particular paragraph. Now let's look at example number 2. It was 12 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun spilled through my windows all over the furniture. The torn sofa with leather peeling off, the curtains stained with spilt coffee, and the windows were blurred with some sticky-like substance. The shine from outside left the heat on every surface, TV, table, kitchen worktops, and even the floor. There was a sharp ring coming from the annoying alarm clock to my left. The wind whistled as noisy as a school. The view of the window was full of crime and love. There was a bottle of vodka sitting next to some rum, as if they were having a chat, both half empty. The grim floor was covered with empty nicotine pouches. The TV just sat there talking to itself quietly. I'm a clown, an unstable, uneasy clown. I work at parties, hospitals, and anywhere I'm told to for money. I spend it on various unneeded items. I spend it on bus fares to and from my therapy. I have medication, some would say too much. I need it. I don't have much family nor friends, but I have only one person to blame, my mother. A really quite emotive piece there, and you can see the candidates ticked off the punctuation choices on the top left. They've also crossed out simile, alliteration and personification as they tick off the descriptive elements. So this person knew what they were assessed for and potentially have employed each of these skills in their response. Here then are some of the labels of the things that would be graded. We've got the effectiveness of the writing on the left and the more technical aspects of the work on the right. Let's once again zoom in on paragraph 2. The intention here was to create a backstory for the character. How could you describe this character without actually saying he is a clown? Think of what details could be given to hint at his profession and mental state. Here is an example then. I stared at my mournful eyes in the mirror, pale skin, ... Use the picture to help. What elements of that clown's face could you describe to emphasise his sadness and his mental instability, while still hinting at the fact it's a clown? Now let's look at the technical aspects in this paragraph. The word choice and ideas are effective and interesting, but the range of effects created to really enhance this are minimal, yet this should be one of the key moments in the story as the character is revealed. What has been changed here and why? I then rewrote this paragraph in the following way. I spend it on various unneeded items. I spend the remainder on therapy and medication. The pills, some would say there are too many. Others may argue that there are never enough. I am a lonely man, no family nor friends to speak of. There is but one person to blame, my mother. Based on this answer, how have the following devices been used and why? Brackets, short sentences for effect, and exclamation marks. If you're unsure, a quick Google or YouTube search would reveal how each of these skills could be used in a piece of descriptive writing. Now use each of these skills to enhance this paragraph. What would you add? What would you change? How would you enhance the emotional description in this particular scene? And lastly, here is a small grid then, just unpicking some of the key things you need to consider. How imaginative is the work? How have you used senses? How have you employed a variety of vocabulary choices? And how have you written your answer well? Thank you very much for listening.